when we embrace change, that's really what keeps life colorful anyway. So maybe our job is to just say, oh, this year, I wonder what new changes, what new behaviors, what new emotions, what new patterns, what new strategies we are going to create as a family, as a mom, as a child, as a family unit, as a boss, whatever it is. I wonder what we will change this year to make life better, more interesting. Like you fill in the blank for you. Let's embrace it.
Welcome to Real Talk with the Parenting Blueprint Coaches, where we discuss all aspects of parenting using the foundation of understanding personality dynamics to raise independent, responsible, and resilient children. My name is Karen Wagner, founder of Teaching Our Youth and the Parenting Blueprint. Let's dig right in with today's topic and have some real talk with the Parenting Blueprint Coaches.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Real Talk with Parenting Blueprint Coaches. I'm one of them, Mindy Green, and
Janet Krebs.
And we are here today to talk about a topic that I think will be very familiar to everyone. And I'm going to let Janet bring us into this one because there's a lot here to unpack. So, Janet, what are we talking about today?
Well, you're scaring me with a lot to unpack.
Lots of things to think about then, maybe.
Lots of things to think about. Well, welcome, everybody. Today on our talk, I invite everybody to embrace January, the new year. However, not in the cliche way of the new year. How about a new year added to your age? Not only for you, but for the people in your circle of influence, your sphere of your world, i.e., maybe that's your family, your cohorts, all of the people that you are in relationship with. Do we give ourselves the consideration of a new year older, a new year different, a new year of who you are, who you have become, who you have yet to become? Now that's a lot.
Yes, and I love that because oftentimes we hear new year, new you, and that's where it can be tricky, right? Because then there's this pressure to set goals and to have like an intention word and to make all these big changes. And what I like about what you just said, Janet, is it's recognizing that the changes have been occurring over the past year, and so we're now a year older, and we've already gone through things, and so it's giving the opportunity then to think about like, well, what has changed, and looking at even in January, this is a really good one about some of the things that happened in that last year that are wins or things that we think that we might like to do differently. And not just for us, but like, what does that look like in our families, in our workspace, in our, neighborhoods or with friends. So there, I love how you said that because that was just really, I'm trying to add to it, but it's like what you said was perfect.
Well, it's just, we talk about reflection a lot, especially around the new year. And I don't think, or maybe I do, I do think that it's time. I'll just be really blunt and proactive about it. It's time that we give ourselves the grace to realize that we are evolving humans. We are always changing. And that doesn't just happen January. It just doesn't happen only in January. Better way to say that. And so when we give ourselves the grace of that, then we give ourselves permission to evolve and grow and transform. And that doesn't just happen in one time of year. It should be an ongoing thing. And let's just be specific. I'm 61. I'm not the same person I was at 60, thank God. And I hope I'm not the same person that I'm going to be at 63. So New you? I don't know. I'm new every day. I want to be different every day.
And I think too that sometimes we think that it's like suddenly like with the flipping of the calendar or time change or whatever it is that we can be completely different. And that's not the way that changes work anyway. And if anyone in the audience, our audience has ever tried to create a new habit, you know that it's something that if you try to do it immediately, and I'm going to tell myself because I've been in that crowd that said, okay, new year, new you. And it's like I joined the gym. And I am so gung ho those first 2 weeks of January. And I'm like, and I'm going every day. And I'm like, I love this. And I can do this all year. And I get to the third week and things come up, life happens. And I'm like, oh, and, and then like other people, I start to drift off and I'm not doing it as much. And it's not just with the gym, it's a lot of different things too. It's like how many of us think, okay, January, I'm going to change the way I eat because now I'm done with the holidays. And you do really well for a couple of days. Like I'll eat a couple pieces of celery and I'm like, I have got this down. I get to my sister's birthday, which is like 2 weeks into January, and I'm like, oh, cake. This is great. Cookies. Awesome. And so there go my 2 pieces of celery.
I'm not a hype girl. I'm not a cliche girl. And the audience should know that about me. I'm kind of a disruptor. I have been a nonconformist my entire life. So when everyone's going left, I'm going right. As a matter of fact, when I'm in group fitness, everyone's going left and I'm going right. When you talk about the gym, I'm like wrong way Wooten, right? I don't, that's a really old reference, but, just going against the grain. So I am just going to say that it's just not a one time, it's a recognition of all the time.
Right.
And since we are family driven, family strategists, family coaches, let's at least invite that conversation, which we hear all the time. And you know what I'm going to say. What am I going to say? Look, you're nodding. What am I going to say?
I'll let you share it, but I do know.
Well, I was thinking of Dear Janet in email or in person. What happened to my beautiful, kind 12-year-old son that used to tell me or daughter that used to tell me everything? And we used to be best friends. And they used to be so wonderful, kind, and generous. And now I can't get them to talk to me. And all they want to do is be in their room and close the door. Right?
And we hear that all the time. And it's like,
All the
you
time.
see on Facebook posts, the parents are so frustrated because they see what they think is a sudden change with their kids. And we know that it may look sudden, but if we go back and we think about the changes that have been occurring, it's been creeping up.
And or expected.
Yes.
Like we need to understand that things change all the time. So new year also means add year. Maybe that's what it should be. Add year, not new year, add year. Like remember, when we add years to our chronological age, to our maturation age, to our emotional age, to all of those ages, things are going to change. Be anticipatory about those changes, be expectant of those changes so that we are less reactive and more proactive. Oh, that was good.
I love that. Yeah, that was a good one, Janet.
That's a writer downer.
Yes, less reactive and more proactive. And I think along with that is that we and I'm going to say this because my personality type is that I really like stability and I like, and so a little iffy. I get a little nervous when we start talking about change. And this is a way to recognize that change is happening all around us anyway. And it's not that we don't have control over it. What we do have control over is being proactive and recognizing, okay, I have that 10-year-old, I have that 11-year-old, and then, you know, things are going on. And we can see it, they're growing taller. Maybe for my kids, it's like they always went through, I call it, they would chunk up and then they would shoot up. So they would chunk and then shoot up, and then it was this whole process that they would go through. And so this gives us an opportunity to observe, like to be observant, to notice some of those things as they're happening, so that when we finally get to those points where, like, my kid hasn't come out of his room like all weekend, or he comes out or he opens the door and I slide some, and the parents sliding food in or whatever, that you recognize that that didn't happen all of a sudden. These changes have been percolating, I guess, and they've been going on behind the scenes. And now we're just maybe seeing the visible part of it.
Right. And so there's the invitation to be another D for disc, could be remain the detective in your household at all times,
Oh, yes.
because that's what that, I mean, that's our jobs, is to roll with. I mean, if we're the parent and we are the role model, if we are the leaders, then our job is to be observant and acknowledge all of those changes all the
Mhm.
time, because they are happening all the time.
Exactly. Yeah, I had a parent reach out about 2 months ago, and one of the things that she was saying is that she didn't know how it happened. Suddenly, her and I'm not picking on boys, but I think it was just a little. It was she's a mom of boys, and so she was saying that suddenly there was this smell that was emanating from his room. And she's like, "Where did this come from?" And so she was a detective. She was going in and she's like looking and she's like, "Is it his clothes? Is it his bedding? Is it, and then she realized it was his shoes. And so they decided, because he's changing and growing, that they're going to put the shoes out into the garage so that they don't have to dispel that upstairs, because she said it was like almost like it was attacking you as soon as you'd walk by his door.
And that's physical. How about all of the emotional changes
Oh, yes.
that everyone, including us, go through? So therein lies that's the gift that we give ourselves. That's the gift. Like, you just said something about the surprise and liking stability and the change. And I'm like that too. And I'm sure lots of parents, lots of people out there are. We all are different, and there's lots of us out there. And yet, when we embrace change, that's really what keeps life colorful anyway. So maybe our job is to just say, oh, this year, I wonder what new changes, what new behaviors, what new emotions, what new patterns, what new strategies we are going to create as a family, as a mom, as a child, as a family unit, as a boss, whatever it is. I wonder what we will change this year to make life better, more interesting. Like, you fill in the blank for you. Let's embrace it.
And I think that's a great way to encapsulate change, because then it is embracing it. It's also, I think, looking forward to it with some anticipation. So it's not just something that, like, eek, it's happening,
Right.
it's creeping up, because then we're taking charge of that, and we're interested, we're curious. And so those are all words that bring out this positive emotion, rather than, like, I used to be like, oh, you know, wanting to hide, and, like, let change, find someone else.
Yeah. Yeah. That would actually, you know what, Mindy? I'm thinking about all of the times, and I know we're pushing time here, but I think this is an important note, and we've all done this, oh, the children are graduating from high school. How does that make you feel? Oh, the child like leaving for college for the first time. I'm just, I'm in wedding season with my kids, and people are like, oh, well, like, how does that make you feel, kind of a thing. But they do it with this face of, like of distress. And I'm like, this is great, right? Like when they left for college, I admittedly, my daughter's bedroom was redecorated before she hit the campus an hour. She drove herself, and before she got there, an hour away, like the bedroom was redone. I was like, yes, I get this other bedroom. I mean, and that's I change can be embraced, not feared. And when we embrace change, I think all of it sits better for us, and we can expect it. We can plan for it. We can embrace it. We know it's coming anyway.
Right.
So why not just anticipate it and treat it positively as like a welcome guest to your table, rather than the unwelcome guest that you close the door and sit at, I don't know.
Well, and I think this goes back to your writer downer, which was, instead of being reactive, be proactive, because we do know it's coming. We know that, whatever season of life we're in our parenting, in our personal lives, that there are things that we can do to prepare ourselves, and it doesn't have to be like, preparing ourselves like for, and putting things in the bunker or whatever, because the world is going to, explode or anything like that, or be destroyed. This is more knowing that there are going to be things to look forward to, or there are going to be changes coming that may require something different of us. So, giving ourselves that chance, that grace, and the ability to be curious about, what we can bring to that. And I think it benefits. It's like you've been talking about, it's the gift that we give to others, and the gift that we can give to ourselves. Yeah.
I agree. So change is good.
Change is good.
Adding a year for 2025. No, now that it's 2025 and we're adding a year, let's just remain curious as to what that new year looks like for every aspect of our life. The chronological, like we said before, the chronological difference in age, our emotional maturity, all of the things that will change, let's just embrace it.
Mm. And I think that's a great message to end on. And I really enjoyed this conversation because it allowed me to see some things about myself too. And I hope for the audience that this brings some things for you to consider and to think about as you think about 2025 and all the changes that it can bring. So we appreciate you joining us. If you like what you've heard, please click the subscribe button, and also leave comments, questions, whatever you have. We would love to hear from you and know whether we're on point or not. What your thoughts are about 2025 and that year that's been added to this. So,
And I may
Janet,
not actually said it out loud, but the happiest of 2025 to everyone.
yes,
Happy
thank
New
you.
Year.
Happy New Year. We'll see you soon.
Bye for now.